Investors' confidence in Indonesia remains strong as reflected in the significant increase in total investment in the country in the first quarter this year, 2024. Both domestic investment and foreign investment rises sharply despite the growing uncertainties in the global economy.
The Investment Coordinating Board, or BAPAIM, announced last week that investment realization during the first quarter of this year rose by 22% year-on-year to 401 trillion rupiah, or equivalent to $24.71 billion amid the growing uncertainty in the world economy. The number accounts for 24% of the government's target of about 2,650 trillion rupiah for this year. The investment realization during the January-March this year was higher than the estimates made by economic observers. According to the data issued by the BKPM, direct foreign investment rose up to 15.5% to 204.4 trillion rupiahs, or equivalent to $12.60 billion, and contributed 50.9% to the total investment during the January-March period. Speaking to the press in Jakarta on Monday, BKPM Chairman Bahlil Lahadalia said that the sharp increase in foreign investment, which occurred amid growing uncertainties in the global economy, reflected foreign investors' confidence in the leadership of President Joko Widodo. Meanwhile, the realization of domestic investment reached a total of 197.1 trillion rupiah, an increase of 29.7% year-on-year. The amount accounted for 49% of the total investment during the first quarter of this year. Of the total investment realization, about 201 trillion rupiah, or about 50%, flowed to regions outside Java, and the remaining 50% were distributed to regions in Java. Singapore was the largest foreign investors during the first quarter of this year, followed by Hong Kong in the second, China in the third, United States in the fourth, and Japan in the fifth place, while West Java was named the largest investment destinations during the January-March period, followed by Jakarta, East Java, Central Sulawesi, and Banten. The economists mostly predicted that investment in the country would decline during the first quarter, as they believed investors would wait for the outcome for the presidential election in February before adding more investment in their businesses. In 2023, investment realization in Indonesia reached a total of 1,419 trillion, exceeding the government's target of 1,400 trillion. The amount rose by 17.5% from 1,207.2 trillion in 2022. The government has set a target to receive 1,650 trillion, or about $105 billion this year. But many economics consider the target, which shows an increase of 70% from the investment realization in 2023, is too ambitious. They believe new investment will be stagnant because investors will hold their investment due to the presidential elections in February and growing uncertainties in the global economy. But Coordinating Maritime Affairs and Investment Minister Luhut Binsar Panjaitan has dismissed such pessimistic views, saying that he is quite confident the investment target can be achieved. Also, many development countries are still facing economic difficulties.
Investment realization rose significantly during the first quarter of this year, despite the rising global uncertainties and the February presidential elections, which were earlier expected to slow investment growth in Indonesia. Our guest today on Economic Outlook, Andry Satrio Nugroho, is a senior analyst at the Institute for Development of Economic and Finance, or INDEF, and Andry will share his insight on the latest trend in foreign direct investment flows to Indonesia. Hello, Andry, how are you?
Good to be back, Lisana.
Good
Thank
to
you.
see you again on Economic Outlook. Thank you so much for your time. Mas Andry, investment growth during the first quarter is quite high, reaching 22%, although most economists have predicted the growth would be stagnant due to the presidential election. Now, in your opinion, what are the main factors that have led to the sharp increase in investment during this first quarter of Indonesia?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we must acknowledge the Ministry of Investment for its achievement in increasing investment realizations, despite dynamic geopolitical conditions and unstable consumer purchasing power in Indonesia, and of course, presidential election dynamics. The ministry still managed to record several accomplishments. However, while the investment realizations data for the first quarter of 2024 shows an increase compared to last year, it does not specify whether this investment are in greenfield or in brownfield projects. So we need to scrutinize whether the current investments are continuations from the previous ones, or this is the new investments entering Indonesia. So this scrutiny is crucial because we aim to determine whether the existing investments are bolstered by investor confidence in Indonesia's economic and political conditions, or if they are merely extensions of previous investment. So beyond the investment realization data presented by the ministry, it is essential to note that the current industrial conditions are not very favorable. So many industries are performing well, yet some are resorting to layoffs, especially labor-intensive industry still struggle to reach their utility levels, making it challenging for them to export. So much of the investment remains concentrated to the downstream sectors of mining commodities, such as nickel, bauxite, and copper, with I guess minimal investment in the agriculture sector. So our hope is for the economic structural change to continue transitioning from the agriculture to manufacturing and ultimately to the service sector. So this requires collective attentions and actions for the next quarter, Lisa.
Now let's talk about foreign investment. Foreign investment also rose about 15% during the first quarter, despite the growing uncertainties in the world economy. Now, what factors make Indonesia to remain attractive to foreign investors?
So I guess several factors contribute to why FDI continues to grow in Indonesia. The vast Indonesian market attract numerous investors to produce good for local consumptions. Additionally, the political stability post-elections, coupled with the incoming the next president's agenda to continue the previous administration's policy. So this is provide investment certainty. Although there has been an increase in FDI, we still observe that the labor absorption from FDI remains very low, and the government needs to be cautious with this phenomena because the incoming investments may not absorb many workers.
Now, speaking of labor absorption, Andry, investment in the labor-intensive industries in Indonesia has been somewhat on a downward trend lately. Why is Indonesia is no longer attractive in these labor-intensive industries?
So I think the key issues is our human resources. So there is noticeable skill gaps between the island in Indonesia. So many of our top human resources are located in Java and are employed in the service sectors, whereas those outside Java lag behind in terms of skills. So despite significant investment moving outside Java, like Sulawesi and Maluku and maybe Papua, primarily to the eastern Indonesia, this disparity in terms of skills remains a challenge. So moreover, productivity issues and comparatively high workers costs or high labor costs relative to countries like China and Vietnam are turning investors away.
Now, this skill disparity is obviously the issue here, lack of skill, and this has caused the labor absorption in both domestic and foreign investment to remain low. What then should the government do so that the new investment will employ more workers here in Indonesia?
The FDI entering Indonesia predominantly favors technology intensive sectors, which do not absorb many workers. So the government is therefore challenged to attract investment that not only boost employment but also ensure that we have workers that is skilled, capable, and productive. So if we talk about how we prepare the skillful workers, this involves integrating efforts across various ministries, so not just the Ministry of Investment, but also the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Labor. So we have to collaborate between those in ministry to prepare our human resource to meet investors' needs.
Now, speaking of technology that you mentioned earlier, when, earlier in April, Tim Cook, the chief executive officer of Apple, met President Jokowi, but he did not make any commitment so far to invest in Indonesia. Why do you think Apple is still reluctant to do business in Indonesia, in your opinion?
So as previously I mentioned before that the labor cost in Indonesia remain relatively high compared to maybe Vietnam, where labor productivity is higher than Indonesia. So additional challenge such as preparing land availability for the productions and the geographical distance from Apple's manufacturing base in China. This is one of the disincentive for the investment from Apple. So furthermore, the established electronic manufacturing ecosystem in Vietnam, which include many manufacturers like Intel, for instance, and Samsung. This is boost Apple's confidence in investment in Vietnamese manufacturing over Indonesia. So this is why the Apple wants to invest more in Vietnam rather than in Indonesia.
So we are not appealing enough, unlike in Vietnam. But you know what? Good
Yeah.
news. Unlike Apple CEO, the Microsoft boss Satya Nadella actually promised to invest up to 27 trillion rupiah, or this is about 1.17 billion US dollars during his recent visit to Indonesia. If this investment is realized, how important is Microsoft's presence to the country's economy? What impact will it have to our economy?
Yeah, I think Microsoft's potential investment is pivotal, particularly if it creates job opportunities. It is hoped that our government will leverage this investment to advance digitalizations in critical sectors such as education and health sectors. So the ultimate goal is, I guess, to enhance the capabilities of our IT workforce also. So enabling them to compete globally, particularly against peers from Malaysia, from China, and of course from India. So if we use this Microsoft's investment to create more capable and skillful workers. Will be benefit to us.
Let's hope so. And final question here. The government has set a target to attract investment of about 1,650 trillion. That's a 17% increase of investment realization in 2023. Do you think that this target is still achievable given the global economic uncertainties going on at the moment?
Yeah, every year we know that the government put ambitious target, especially in investment. So I think the investment target set by the governments remains achievable despite the global economic uncertainties. And when we look at the first quarter data, this is still manageable until the end of the year. But however, the focus should not only be on the amount of investment, but also on its quality. So recent investment in Indonesia, although substantial, high value, but have left issues such as environmental degradations and impact to our communities, and also it increase poverty levels. So it is crucial that the future investment not only at high value and absorb maybe workers, but also minimize the emission and degradations from the environmental impact. The holistic approach, I think, will ensure the sustainable growth and, of course, long-term benefits for Indonesia's.
Right. Thank you so much for your insights on our investment talks today on Economic Outlook. Andry Satrio Nugroho, Senior Analyst at INDEF. Thank you, and we'll chat with you again next time on Economic Outlook.
Thank you for having me.